Today we're going to talk about catering and getting catering jobs with fresh squeezed lemonade. We're going to talk about the positives of doing catering, why you should be doing catering, pricing, how to get catering, and the negatives of doing catering jobs. This is Mike, the Caesar of concessions. All right. Catering is absolutely incredible, and it's a great way to make money either during downtimes or as a supplement to doing festivals and fairs. Now, I do have some notes over here as I was trying to think of ways to present this topic, so I may refer and look down at my notes from time to time, so forgive me for that. Okay, number one, the benefits of catering. Okay, let's talk about this. In most cases, you know your inventory beforehand, right? Not every catering gig, but a lot of them, because you know how many people are going to be coming, let's say, to a wedding. And you pretty much get a head count. Yeah, there's always some hit and miss, a couple here, a couple there, but by and large, you know pretty much what your inventory is going to be. You know what your waste is going to be, which is very, very important. And you know how much you're going to make. And that's a huge, huge benefit to catering, because you have no idea what you're going to make sometimes when you go out and do a festival or fair. Another great thing about catering is there's no competition. I mean, usually it's just you doing your thing, or maybe another caterer serving something different, but you're not in competition. You're not literally selling the product there. The sale has already been made beforehand, right? So, no competition. Another great thing about catering is the flexibility on your pricing. We're going to get into pricing a little bit more in detail later on in the video, but let's just start off here. You got no vendor fee, right? Like if you're going to a festival or fair, you got a vendor fee, by and large, most times. Do catering, there's no vendor fee, right? Second, is the gas any more than going to an event for a few days back and forth? Probably if it's about the same or even less catering, particularly if it's in your own town. So, there's some great flexibility. And maybe labor. Maybe you won't have as much labor doing catering gigs, depending upon the catering job, right, versus going out and doing festivals and fairs. So there's some massive benefits to catering. Matter of fact, we're doing a whole discussion over an hour long on our membership group on catering, Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Central, January 2nd, 2024. It's only $2 to be a member. We do workshops twice a month. You get exclusive content from me and some mentorship. Come on now. Link will be in the description. Hope to work with you in the membership group. Okay. Another thing that's a great benefit to catering versus not catering, it's usually way easier, right? Because when you go to an event, set up, tear down, right? Lug everything around, back and forth. Usually at the catering gig, you just take it once and then you leave. That's great. It's way easier. And usually, not all the time, sometimes they're inside. So as we know as a vendor going out and doing events, we're dealing with all kinds of weather conditions. When you're inside, you eliminate that risk totally. It's great. Okay. Let's talk about how to get catering gigs. And look, sometimes we when we think of catering, we just laser focus just on weddings. Weddings is probably 1 out of 100 different catering gigs that you can get. It's just kind of like the thing that most people talk about. But how to get them? Well, the easiest way probably is to have a sign out on your setup, right? When you're at an event, say you do catering, contact us for catering. Let's get that sign out in the public's eye, particularly at big events where lots of people are walking back and forth. That's great advertising, right? Having that up. Maybe even put an A-frame out and highlight that you do catering. Another way, if you want to do weddings, call every wedding planner that you can find online or in, oh my gosh, a phone book. I don't even know if they use those anymore, but the phone book or online or whatever. Call every wedding planner you can think of and say, hey, we are available. If this comes up, we do gourmet fresh squeezed lemonade. And, maybe list your flavors or whatever and why your lemonade is so incredible, right? And so that's one way to do it. Now, another great way is if you have a friend, a relative, a friend of a friend that's getting married, maybe cut them a really good deal, right? And just to kind of get in and do it, and then use that gig to springboard other catering jobs by getting amazing pictures, using references, all kinds of ways, just doing a really, inexpensive catering gig to get your first one under your belt. That one could propel you really, really far and get a lot more jobs. So friends, relatives, friends of friends, whatever, is a great way to get those. And school, now we're going to get away from weddings here for a second. Homeowners association gigs are great. My sons did a kettle corn job not too long ago doing catering, but they could have easily done fresh squeezed lemonade or shaved ice or whatever. With they have a big lake out here at their homeowner association. They had a big party there, and people were not expected to pay. They paid with tickets or whatever. That we set the price up beforehand, so all they had to do was come and get a bag of kettle corn. And you could cater at schools, at back to school picnics, carnivals, like we have done many, many times. So many different ways to cater at schools. Heck, there's a guy in my area that sells pancakes, and he does like pancakes for mom or pancakes for pops, and gets like every elementary school in the Kansas City area, and that's what he does, and he does incredibly well. I got a lot more to talk about, so hang on, please. This video is brought to you by our lovely sponsor, kettlecornmachine.com. They have the best lemonade and kettle corn equipment in the market. They have warranties on all their equipment. Check them out, kettlecornmachine.com. Tell them you heard it from here. Get a discount. All right, next. Catering is so awesome because you can be as creative as you want. If you're a creative person, imagine the setups you could have at, let's just say, a wedding, for instance, and how glamorous and elegant you can make it look. Let's get to pricing. If you've been on this long, you probably want to talk about pricing because that is so important. Okay, this is a little bit harder of a topic to talk about because you can be so creative with your pricing. Now, here's one way to do it, okay? Let's say you charge $5 for a lemonade, okay? Let's just say, per person. Maybe you can cut that down to $4 a lemonade. Why? Because you're going to have less waste. You won't have to go back and forth as much like you would to an event. Don't have all the setup to do. Don't have a vendor fee. So you're actually saving a lot of money by doing catering gigs. So maybe you can charge $1 less and just keep it real simple. You have 100 guests, 100 lemonades, $400. Pretty simple. Another way to do it is have a percentage based, right? If they have X number of guests, say, okay, that's my percentage. I need to make 30, 40, 50, 100% off this, 200% off this job, whatever it is, whatever percentage you need, just use a percentage. So there's a couple different ways on your pricing. You can do it, or you can just go with a stand, even if you don't want to give them a deal, right? You can say, okay, our lemonades are $5 per person across the board, and go like that. So many different creative ways that you can price out your catering gigs. Okay, next, there are some negatives with catering and something we need to be aware of. Okay, probably the biggest negative is your upside is capped, right? Because you're getting paid beforehand. When you go to a festival or fair, you're buying a whole bunch of product, and your upside is only limited to what you bought, honestly. I mean, now for rains or poor attendance, whatever. But if all things are equal, your upside is capped So that's a negative. Another negative is sometimes time doesn't equal money. If you are capped out on your price, okay, and then you're at the event longer than you want to be for whatever reason, your time sometimes doesn't equal money. Something to be considered there. Okay, next. Another negative is most of the time, now sometimes you just blow up with your trailer, your tent outside or whatever, but if it's inside, even if it's outside, sometimes your presentation has to be better and classier than it is for a festival or fair. And that's a negative. You got to put some extra effort into the setup to make it look incredible. Okay, next. Sometimes, most of the time, for us, we had to buy specialty things, whether they be vases or serving containers or lights or decorations. You have to spend money on otherwise stuff you wouldn't have to spend money on if you're going to a festival or fair, right? You got to spend more money on a catering gig initially. But if you can keep your decorations, keep your stuff in good shape, you can reuse it event after event. But sometimes different weddings and different events want different decorations, and before you know it, you have a whole bunch of decorations. Sometimes you can't reuse those again. Those are negatives. I really hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, please consider liking the channel and liking the video and subbing the channel. I would greatly appreciate you. This is Mike, Caesar Concessions, out.